Especially with an extraordinary story to tell. We talk often about our need to protect the public and strategies and engagement from the state and working with local partners and resources, but you also have to have partners who are literally in the streets making this happen. And I'm so proud that Buffalo has surpassed all expectations in terms of its crime rate. We'll be talking about particularly the most egregious crimes, shootings and homicides. And before we get started, I want to acknowledge some of these extraordinary individuals. Mayor Byron Brown, I want to thank you for embracing the responsibility to protect our citizens and your hands-on approach, working so closely with all of us and continuing to request the resources from the state necessary to help you do your jobs. You're doing an incredible job. So Mayor Byron Brown, thank you, and we'll be hearing from you momentarily. It also takes the district attorney to prosecute the cases and to, make sure that justice is served. And I want to thank the district attorney here in Erie County. We've worked together a long time, John Flynn, and thank you for the work that you and your team are doing as well. I also want to thank our county executive here, who has to manage different kinds of crimes and has the city within his jurisdiction, but also manages what is happening out in our many 42 towns and cities. So I want to thank the county executive, Mark Polenkaris, for his role in making sure that people sleep safer at night and the work that you're doing. Pastor Giles, helping us literally in the streets. And the word peacemakers really has a special connotation when it's given by someone like you who know the streets so well. And I know my husband, Bill, had the opportunity to work closely with you in many of the violence disruptor organizations that were just getting off the ground years ago when he was in the U.S. Attorney's Office. So I'm well aware of your work from the home front as well, and the difference you've made and the lives that you saved that you may never be able to calculate, but there are many. And thank you, Pastor Giles, for the work that you do. Steve Nigrelli, I want to thank you for the work you do at the state police level. Again, helping us come up with the ideas and making sure they're executed with our communities. And I want to thank Reverend Blue. Reverend Blue, where are you? Reverend Blue's here? Oh, maybe he's on his way. Reverend Blue coming, perhaps. But I do want to give a special shout out to our Chief of Police, our Commissioner. Joe Gramalia, you've been through a lot in the time that you've ascended to this important role. And the confidence that the men and women who work under you in your leadership is important to all of us. And when I saw you spring into action a little over a year ago after the May 14th shooting, it was extraordinary. You brought a sense of calm, a sense of urgency to the people, but a calm in executing your responsibilities. And so I want to give you a special round of applause for all you do here. Our Commissioner of the City of Buffalo Police Department, Joseph Gramalia. Thank you. So we have made progress in reducing the most serious of crimes. And as I said when I first took office, actually less than 2 years ago, I said public safety, protecting the public is my #1 priority. And we knew it would not be easy, especially as we were coming from the ravages of a pandemic that disrupted our entire way of life and thrust people into chaos and uncertainty. And what we saw was there were more cases of substance abuse and domestic violence and overall crimes and, mental health episodes. It was just so surreal because no one could have foreseen that. We'd never had experience dealing with that, but it had a real human effect. And one of those effects that it had on society was an increase in crime, a dramatic increase in crime all across the country. This was not a New York State phenomenon. It was happening all across America, particularly in some of our larger cities. And so the COVID pandemic, the gun violence epidemic, we just lost too many New Yorkers. And I saw the experience. I felt the experience. I've been to too many funerals of people that are victims. And the anguish that pervades in a community after the violence goes away for a day is still there. People live in communities that are traumatized day after day, never knowing when the next drive-by shooting will happen, or a shooting into a crowd, or a shooting in a grocery store. There's a real trauma that affects the human psyche and affects people's ability to dysfunction in everyday life. So this fear that people feel, It's not right. It's an injustice that people can't have the security that they're all entitled to. So I made a commitment that I would build new partnerships, new policies, new legislation, whatever it took to do what I could at my disposal, all the tools that were out there that had not been used the way I wanted them to be used. We cultivated partnerships at the state, local, federal level. We have policies that make sure that community organizations have the resources they need. They've always known what to do. They just didn't have the resources to make it happen. And again, landmark legislation to make all New Yorkers safe. One thing that I'm particularly proud of is launching a year and a half ago the first ever consortium of other states pulling together to deal with gun interdiction, the Interstate Gun Task Force. And what we've done is now we have alliances and relationships in all of our neighboring states, and more are being added because they want to be part of the effort to get the guns coming in from out of state. Think about this. They're not being manufactured here in New York. They're not being made here in Erie County or in Buffalo. They're coming from out of state. And if we can stop them at the border, something I asked our state police to be very aggressive about, very aggressive, and to literally stop them at the borders or the gun shows where they're being loaded into trunks in Pennsylvania, nearby Pennsylvania, and being brought up to our state and being distributed to people and sold to people and used in violent crimes here in Buffalo and Rochester and all the way down to the city. This is how you make a difference. You just reorient your priorities. I have the resources, but what are they doing? And we have put a massive focus on getting guns off the streets. And also what we can do with the legislature, letting them see the urgency of changing the laws to protect our people. It's that simple. And a tragedy that shook us to the core, again, the Tops massacre. After that, I went back to Albany and said, we have to do more. And I signed a comprehensive nation-leading package of some of the toughest gun laws you'll ever see. And I'm proud of that because it is making a difference. And then shortly thereafter, the Supreme Court struck down a law that had been used for 100 years to protect our citizens from concealed carry weapons. Think about that. There are states where it's legal to have guns hidden as you walk into grocery stores and places of worship and other playgrounds and schools. That's legal in a lot of states. And we protected our citizens, and the Supreme Court took that ability away from us just over a year ago. So we went back to the drawing board. So we have to change the laws. We'll identify sensitive areas where you cannot have a concealed carry weapon. We also have to invest in the programs, and that means money. My budget is a statement of my priorities. And what you see is an historic investment, $347 million, that we've used to help with gun prevention, violence prevention programs all across the state. Helping communities respond in the aftermath of violence, supporting youth employment programs, our gun-involved violence elimination initiative, GIVE programs. That's for our upstate communities. And that's where we've really focused a tremendous amount of money. In our police stabilization units, where a community is under stress, they call us up, we show up. Our state police are literally on the streets in places like Rochester and Syracuse, helping them out and have been, and we're committed to that. And also here in Buffalo, I've directed investments. They've gone up over 300%, from $6 million to $25 million this year, and I'm proud to say our methods are working. But let me just look overall at the statistics for the state before we get down to the really incredibly positive news about Buffalo. But outside New York City, shootings are down 28% in the police jurisdictions, the 20 jurisdictions where we give extra resources because they've been identified as high violence communities. Fatal shootings are down 43%, murders down 35%. Erie County Executive, murders are down 64%, violent crimes down 10% compared to just 1 year before. That is a dramatic change. And the one area I want to really zoom in on is the city of Buffalo. Buffalo is leading the charge. Let's just look at the numbers from January to June. Homicides here are down 62% this year and 65% since the summer of 2021 when I took office. That's the largest decrease. Again, 65% since I became the governor. So I've been watching these numbers closely since that time. Largest decrease since 1985. From January to June last year, there were 42 homicides. This year, the same period, it's 16. Fatal shootings are down 73% from our peak in 2021. Last year, there were 36 fatal shootings in Buffalo, and we knew 10 in one afternoon. This year, there's been 11 total. First half of 2021, 184 shooting victims. Same period last year, 143. This year, it's 73. That's a 60% decrease since 2021, the peak of the pandemic. Shooting incidents are down tremendously. 153 shooting incidences in 2021 in Buffalo, 104 the next year, which we are very proud of, and then this year, 63. But it's not just the homicides and shootings, which are the most egregious crimes. Violent crimes, such as robberies, rapes, and assaults are down too. They've dropped 20% in the last 2 years, from 1,122 violent crimes in 2021 to 894 this year. To put it in perspective, this is the lowest number of violent crimes seen per month in the last 3 decades here in Buffalo. That's extraordinary. These numbers are great, the progress is undeniable, and people around the country have taken notice. This makes me really proud. A report from the Council on Criminal Justice, which is featured in many news outlets, reviewed 37 American cities and found Buffalo was one of the cities leading the way in reducing homicides. The Atlantic reviewed a study of 90 cities that highlighted Buffalo, where the murder rate is dramatically declining. Again, we won't stop until these numbers are down to 0. We will not say mission accomplished. We're not done. But this is extraordinary. But there's also one thing that is increasing. While homicides, shootings, and violent crimes are decreasing, what's increasing is our gun seizures. This is an intentional effort, as I mentioned before, to get the guns off the streets. And I want to thank the Buffalo Police Department's leadership and all the officers who are working so hard to just get those weapons of destruction and death out of the hands of people on our streets. And that's what's helped make these public safety improvements possible. And I said last year, I don't want to be in the business of solving crimes. We should be in the business of preventing crimes. And that's what we're doing here. Last year, we had over 10,000 guns taken off the street. Police seized 65% more firearms than in 2019, and the numbers just keep getting better. Here in Buffalo, nearly 1,000 guns were seized last year, 956, the highest in more than a decade. We've also seen a rise in ghost guns, guns that can be purchased on the internet, and the parts manufactured at home, put it together at home, they're untraceable. So while criminals continue to design and conceal firearms, we'll continue to try to stay a step ahead of them, making it illegal to do so. We passed in 2021 legislation to make them absolutely illegal while they are legal in other states. Last year, the Buffalo Police Department seized over 76 ghost guns right here in Buffalo. State police seized 120 statewide. So we're going to double down. This is what we do. When you're doing something right, we're going to continue the strong relationships we have between the community, the organizations, the violence disruptors, our police, programs like SNUG and Project Rise, the peacemakers. And we're going to continue to use technologies at our crime analysis center, because all of us have a responsibility to keep the public safe, from law enforcement officials to elected leaders, community leaders, advocates, judges, lawyers, probation, parole. It's a whole ecosystem. But the purpose is to dispense justice, but also to protect our citizens. And I want to thank everyone who's been a part of this. These numbers make me proud. All of you should be proud. But again, we're not resting on our laurels. This could change. Numbers could change. So let's celebrate this day, but also look forward and say, what are we doing right? What technologies and strategies can we embrace here, but also talk about across the state so others can see what's being done here? But holding out Buffalo as a model this day is an opportunity for us to say they're doing it right, the numbers are trending in a positive direction, and more people are alive today in Buffalo as a result of these efforts. So I want to thank everyone. I want to thank the mayor and invite him to come up and tell him that this is an amazing day to be able to look at these numbers. I was going through my 6-month reports. I get briefed all the time on our crime statistics throughout the state. And I looked at the numbers for Buffalo and Erie County, and I said, we have to go to Buffalo. we have to celebrate this. This is a moment to say we are trending in the right direction, and this is incredibly positive news. Mayor Byron Brown.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to welcome Governor Hochul back to Buffalo Police and Fire Headquarters, and it is a privilege to be able to thank the governor for her support of the Buffalo Police Department. The governor's right. I got a text from the governor a few weeks ago saying, I like the direction that the crime numbers are going in Buffalo. Want to come to police headquarters to talk about it. And I appreciate all of the support that our Buffalo Police Department is receiving from Governor Hochul. And I certainly appreciate the increase in funding for public safety that the governor is providing statewide and here in Buffalo. We are very pleased to see a significant reduction in violent crime in the city of Buffalo. Shootings down significantly, homicides down significantly, gun seizures of illegal weapons up significantly, and certainly I want to also credit the great law enforcement partnership that we have here at every level with the Buffalo Police Department, our district attorney's office, our state police, county sheriff's office, federal agencies. That law enforcement partnership is critical, and also our partnership with the community. Organizations like Peacemakers and SNUG, all working together to make a difference in the reduction in crime in our community. One of the things that the governor said that certainly struck me is our ultimate goal is to get to 0 shootings, 0 homicides. One of the things that we say in Buffalo is that any one shooting, any one homicide is one too many, and all of us believe that. And so as I conclude my comments of thanks to the governor, thanking her for her support, her focus, her resolve to reduce gun violence and violence statewide and certainly here in Buffalo, I just want to say that my heart continues to go out to families that have lost loved ones to senseless violence. And all of us here are committed to doing everything that we can, to continuing the partnership that we have to get to the point where we can say that there are no shootings and no homicides in the city of Buffalo. Thank you all very much. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce someone that works night and day on these issues. Our police commissioner, Commissioner Gramaglia, and his management team have put a significant plan in place that is working with the resources that we have received from the state and the great law enforcement partnership that we have in this region. It is my pleasure to introduce the Buffalo Police Commissioner, Joseph Gramaglia.
Again, welcome to Buffalo Police Headquarters, Buffalo Fire Headquarters. It is a great day to come and be able to showcase the numbers that we're talking about here. And I love to talk data, I love to talk numbers, but we are talking human lives, we're talking people. We have significantly less people shot. We have significantly less people that have been killed by gun violence, and our officers of the Buffalo Police Department are working very, very hard to bring those numbers down. We established a plan last year that involves our police department being present, visible, and engaged. It's a strong plan based on community engagement. It couldn't be done without the financial support that comes from the mayor and especially the governor. Governor, I want to thank you for the significant investment in GIVE fundings. And I say investment because when you invest money, you want results. And I can assure you that we are doing everything in our power to give you and the citizens of New York State and the city of Buffalo confidence that we are working hard to bring those numbers down and use that money as wisely as possible. You think of the money that's being invested, it's a lot of money. Think of how much money would be spent on hospital costs, on overtime costs, and everything else that goes into when you have shooting victims. We had 105 less shooting victims last year. Calculate those costs, the emotional toll on those families. We have over 70 less people shot this year than last year on top of those gains that we made. But that comes with a partnership. That comes with everybody that you see in here, some that you don't see in here. We've got the Erie County Sheriffs. We have the New York State Police. We have the Erie Crime Analysis Center. We work off of real-time data that's provided by the hardworking analysts inside the Erie Crime Analysis Center, led by Dennis J. Richards, our former chief of detectives. So again, I want to thank everybody for all the work that they're doing, but I especially want to thank the members of the Buffalo Police Department, the women and men of this police department, who are the ones that are actually out there on the front lines every day. They are exactly where we want them to be, preventing crime, preventing things from happening, and doing strong community engagement. So I applaud them. They're out there putting their lives on the line every single day for everybody in this community. I thank them. They're working hard, and I thank the governor, I thank the mayor, I thank everybody up here for everything they're doing. So thank you very much. And I want to thank my partner in crime, John Flynn, the district attorney. His DAs are working night and day, and I mean night and day because they're getting called out in the middle of the night when there's a homicide, when there's a shooting. The district attorney's office and the partnership, we are seeing an increase in our clearance rates because of the hard work and the partnership with the DA's office. I thank all those district attorneys for all the work they're doing, and I thank my partner, John Flynn, if you want to come up. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. And, you know, it starts, obviously, with the support and, quite frankly, the money. What the governor didn't show up here was her continued support throughout the years and going forward with other funding sources. In addition to GIVE, which has gone up millions of dollars this year for all of us in upstate New York, we got a significant increase in our aid to prosecution funding as well. That aid to prosecution money comes directly to our DA's offices. Now, county executive won't like that, but it comes right to me, Mark. That money comes right to DA's offices across the state. That money went up over $50 million this year, thanks to the governor's leadership, thanks to the governor ensuring that that got included in our state budget. On top of that, obviously we all know a number of years ago we had significant discovery legislation that impacted DA's offices across the state. We initially got a $40 million funding source from the Manhattan DA's office. Well, the governor, when she took over a couple years ago, realized that that wasn't going to be good enough, that we couldn't continue tapping into the Manhattan DA's office for money. So we got $40 million. And we got it initially as kind of a one-time shot. Well, due to the governor's leadership, that $40 million is now a permanent part of the state budget. And so that money, in addition to the GIVE money, in addition to the aid to prosecution money, is now going to come to DA's offices across the state. And Governor, we could not have done that without you ensuring that that got in the budget. And it was because of you and your leadership that that happened. And I can't thank you enough. The mayor and the commissioner mentioned it, obviously. You know, the partnerships that we have are extraordinary. And it goes beyond the city of Buffalo. It goes to the county. It goes to our sheriff's department. It goes to all the 40-plus police agencies that we have here in Erie County. All of us working together to ensure that our streets are safe. And so, mayor, county executive, police commissioner, again, I can't thank you enough. Superintendent Negrelli, what you do on a state level is tremendous. And all that we do together, working together, is what's driving these numbers down. But, you know, it's more than just driving numbers down, and it's more than just putting people in jail. Because obviously, putting the bad actors in jail helps make our streets safer. But it's not just about that. I don't come to work every day thinking, how many people can I put in jail today? I don't do that. No DA does that. We want our streets safe. We want our communities safe. But we want to do it in a fair and just manner. So yes, do we have to put people in jail? Absolutely. But that's on one hand. On the other hand, we can help people. We can give people a second chance, a third chance. We can foster strong relationships in our community. And Reverend Blue, with your leadership in the NAACP here, we do that each and every day, having that partnership in the community, working with community organizations to ensure that everything is done in a fair and just manner. And I thank you for your leadership as well in that. And my dear friend, Pastor Giles, and the Peacemakers, who is out there every day with not only the Peacemakers, but his Back to Basic ministry, ensuring that we form those partnerships, we form those community bonds, and we make sure that the relationship with the community and law enforcement is enhanced. And what you do to enhance that each and every day, I can't thank you enough. The trust that I think that people have in me and the mayor and the police commissioner comes from your efforts on the street. And again, thank you for what you do, and thank you for your leadership, and thank you for your help. Because without your help, I couldn't do this each and every day. And with that, come on up here and say a few words.
I want to thank everybody for being here. This is a very, very, very important issue, certainly to my heart. And Governor, I can't thank you enough for providing resources. See, we've always had in place. It's not just resources. It's just not money. You can't buy this stuff away. It's about having the right people in place that are willing to come together in a collective way to make a difference. So Mayor Brown has always been able to be one of the leaders in providing community-based organizations funds so that they can address violence at the street level, so that we can begin to deflect people from getting in trouble, people from shooting each other, people from conflicting with each other. That's what we do. All of our anti-violence groups, and I want to give them a high sign, because their work has stopped individuals from getting to the point where they feel they have to handle this business with hardware. And so thank them enough. But also, we have a commissioner of police, Joe, and I call him Joe because we've been knowing each other that long, but probably know more technically and manually about police enforcement and how we can best do this than anybody I ever sat across the table from. He knows this. He has a heart for this, and the police officers are getting the training that's necessary around community engagement. That builds relationships. All the chiefs, and I know all of them, right, are very concerned with community engagement. And once you build community confidence in what you can do, and you get community cooperation. The district attorney's office is doing something that no district attorney has done before him, and that is work directly with community-based groups, right? He's working with them to give people a second chance and kind of rolling it out with that. And more importantly, and I heard you mention this about interdiction strategies, I have been sitting at tables with massive law enforcement agencies all around at every level, deciding, listen, let's lean into this and let's lift Buffalo up, because Buffalo is having these high crime rates, but yet we do not manufacture or distribute weapons. We do not do that, but they have come together and very intentionally address this problem. And so it's really about having those funds, those resources has enabled those people with hearts, Governor. They always had a heart to do this stuff, but didn't have the necessary resources. I thank you so much, because we are showing and demonstrating, not only for the city of Buffalo and state of New York, any city and urban communities that's having this problem, you got to have the right people willing to work together and give everybody that they're working together with a sense of value. So, yes. I just want to thank everybody for coming out, all right, to support this. And Governor, we support you so much, right, and believe in you so much because you understand the vision. God bless you.
This concludes our program. Thank you all for coming.